What's going on, everyone? This is Robert Anthony with the channel Anthony Talks Too Much. You might know me from Instagram as Flex Around the World. You probably followed my travels and experiences through Dubai, working for Emirates Airline. To catch you up to date, I'm back in the US. I've been here for a couple years now. I've gone on a huge journey. I'll link those videos somewhere if you haven't seen them already, but essentially this is my life after EK journey. I'm here to share with you guys what post-Emirates life is like, what the transition has been like, what the struggles have been, and ultimately I want to share with you on this page what I'm going through as a flight attendant in case any of you are curious about this industry or are already in the industry and are looking to optimize your health, your mindset, your wellness, and you're interested in a little bit of biohacking or just anything that's going to really help you live optimally. Being a flight attendant is super challenging emotionally and physically, and I'm here to share with you how I continue to live as the best version of myself and what my tips and tricks are. So, without further ado, this video is about my ayahuasca journey. So, as usual, I'm going off the cuff with this, guys. I don't have anything really planned or scripted, so you know I got a lot to say, so let's get started. What is ayahuasca? Obviously, plant medicine is becoming hugely popular right now. It's having a major resurgence, especially in the spiritual world, because people are realizing that they can heal themselves through this medicine. I think we're at a huge shift in the world where we're not depending on Western medicine and pharmaceuticals to make us happy. Obviously, you can't be on a pill for your whole entire life. An antidepressant, that's not going to change you. So everyone comes to the plant for a different reason. I had been thinking about ayahuasca for a couple years, even actually when I worked at Emirates. It was on my radar since then. I didn't feel quite ready for it, so I always had it on the back burner. And it wasn't until just this year, in late 2022, that I felt called to do it. And I think anyone that's thinking about it, it definitely should not be something that's like a bucket list experience or I really want to do this. The purpose is not to go and take drugs in the jungle, right? Now, let's just be clear. Ayahuasca is a drug. It's a plant medicine. You are going to have some effects from it. It's going to impair you visually. It's going to do things to your mind. But just like a pharmaceutical medicine, it can be abused like a drug, or it can be used with intention to help you and to expand your mind. And I'm not going to get into all the ins and outs of plant medicine or how they believe that some of the Bible was written with people that have been taking plant medicine, or they believe that human brains expanded because we've taken mushrooms. So this is not like a selling video for plant medicine, all right? If you're listening to this, if you felt called to this video, you're probably interested in it. So we're just going to talk about that, all right? All the other things you can debate about online with other people. Let's start with what is ayahuasca. It comes from a plant, it's brewed, and for me, essentially, it was like taking a huge mushroom trip. You get all of those sorts of same visuals, but more importantly, what ayahuasca does is it unlocks neural pathways in your mind. It also creates more neural pathways. This is what they claim that it does. And it also can go into your body and kind of pull out disease, stuck energy, and all that sort of thing. So that's why people purge. You're not really purging from the diet. I mean, of course, if you're eating a lot of crap, I'm sure there's some things you're going to purge up, but a lot of that purging is an energetic purge. So the point of ayahuasca is either people that are on a spiritual path are called to it to further their development or find something new, or you're going to find people that have tried everything in normal life to feel better or heal addictions or cure depression, or have just really gone through something very painful that they cannot find the means through medication or normal therapy to pull themselves out of. So this is kind of the group that I found myself in this location. Personally, I went to Ecuador. If you guys are interested, I will share where I went because it's a beautiful location run by this lovely woman originally from California, who she essentially had a near-death experience, and she experienced God and the other side and came back to life and was like, I need to share this. And she opened this retreat, and it's a really, really beautiful spiritual place. So the reason I went personally was I have been on a spiritual path since I left Dubai. If you haven't watched some of my other videos, quick little summary is essentially I came back to the US. I was super depressed for a long time, really struggling with transitioning back to America, because you guys got to remember, although we always know that Dubai is probably going to be not a permanent life for us, I had my whole life there. I had a car, I had my bank account, I had my accommodation, I had my friend groups, I had a full social calendar. Yeah, I complained about the job a lot because it is a very tough company to work for and the management is extremely tough and there is a lot of things that they can fix over there, but it's a lifestyle. I mean, you sign up for that lifestyle, you know what you're getting into, and you make the most of it, and it's really, really fun. So to have that pulled out from under you so quickly without a backup plan in place is a little jarring. And I think it wasn't until really many months later when I came back to the US. And right now also the US is not doing so great, guys. I mean, I came back right during the Trump to Biden administration change. And so we're going through some stuff of our own right now. So while America's great, it's not so great right now. So it was really a struggle for me to figure out, what do I want to do? How do I want to contribute in a career that fulfills me but also makes money? So all of this was going on in my head, right? And essentially, you know, I've been back for a couple years. I started working with a domestic airline, so I had a job, I had my own place, I got all set up, so we're all good, right? My exterior is good. And then I've just been working on myself, my mindset. I've done coachings with people, and I'm really on this path. I think once you kind of have this awakening, all that spirituality really means to me, and you can use God or whatever term you want, I think it's all the same thing. It's really just an energetic frequency that we're all part of. We are all part of this energy. I mean, they've proven the quantum field. This is real stuff, guys. This isn't like woo-woo. So you have parts of that. I mean, we're made up with the same particles of stars. So all of that is within us. So that's why when people say like God is within you, it's true. You can become God. You just need to figure out the way to get there. So I truly believe that life is all just a reawakening. I think we were kind of all like Men in Blacked, you know, like, and then we come back to earth, or maybe we signed up for it. I don't know. Like, I think your spirit was like, yep, I'm going to go. I'm going to go through some of this stuff to learn. I'm going to experience the good and the bad, because life is an experience, right? It can't be all joy and bliss. You have to have the highs and lows. And I think you sign up for maybe some of the trauma that you go through, but the more important thing is how you pull yourself out of it, because that's how you learn. And then that's how you can share it with others and help other people heal. We're all on a healing journey just to return to our true essence of spirit, because we've been conditioned, especially those of us with like baby boomer parents, into life a certain way, because that's how the system was set up. I mean, the schooling system was set up for like the agricultural industry boom. I mean, our education system needs a major overhaul. So I'm going too far deep, but let me pull it back. So I was on my journey. You know, I do my meditations, I'm connecting, I'm trying to just better myself. That's what spirituality to me really is. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, fixing things within you so you can be better and show up for other people, and also be more understanding of their journey. Because I used to have a huge temper, very impatient, very Capricorn energy, get stuff done, show people when they're wrong, make it right. And it's definitely taught me a lot more patience and understanding and like empathy. So it's good for me personally. So that's how it has helped me. But I was still struggling in terms of like drinking, especially coming back to the flight attendant industry. I think, you know, you can't smoke weed, even though that's natural. So a lot of flight attendants want ways to decompress, especially after very stressful flights. So unfortunately, people turn to alcohol. So I was getting into the habit of like drinking and I don't drink hard liquor. I stopped all of this. So I'm going to say I'm very proud of myself. I'm not a big drinker anymore. I'm not a big partier, even though I did the whole like gay circuit scene. I mean, I've lived a very full life and I've had a lot of experiences already at my very young age. But I didn't like that I felt like I was thinking about like wine after flights, you know. And I'm not going to say I'm an alcoholic, and, you know, because I think that's a true disease. But for me, I have very high expectations of myself. And even one glass of wine a night, you know, I wear this Oura ring. It screws up your heart rate. It ruins your sleep. One glass, I'm telling you guys, I've tracked this stuff, okay? So your heart rate stays elevated. You don't get as deep sleep, your REM sleep is going to be affected. Then the next day, you're going to have less fat burning abilities. So for me, I'm all like, I'm on the path of becoming sober, but I'm taking it slowly because I'm Italian and I love my wine. So I felt like it was getting exacerbated. Like I was starting to drink after every flight, and then, you know, it was getting around to be the holidays or my brother's birthday, so there was lots of time with family, which is where you always regress a little bit in terms of how far you've come on your spiritual path, because family is the biggest mirror for us. And I was just drinking more than I wanted to. And I got a sign for me to go. I was watching a documentary on Gaia. It was about ayahuasca. And I was like, you know what? I've been thinking about this for a long time. I feel ready. I don't have the fear. I think you have to go into ayahuasca without a lot of fear. And also, I didn't want to tell people. I only told 2 of my friends, and I didn't even tell my family, or I might have told my mom. I tell my mom everything. But I told the majority of people that I was going to a yoga retreat because I don't want that fear. Because one of the things you might hear about ayahuasca is that it messes people up and they come back and they're crazy. I don't think any of that is true. Now, there are some things that can happen if you're taking antidepressants and you need to detox properly, because this is a medicine that does work on your serotonin system. So, but I didn't have any of that. So I felt good to go. And I wanted to wait until I totally wasn't fearful of what would come of it, because they say that ayahuasca can kind of smack you in the face and it's going to bring up some things, who knows. So I felt ready to go. So I made the decision. I had the flight benefits. I was like, it's almost the end of 2022. This has been one of my goals, not as a bucket list, but just as one of my spiritual goals to further my journey. And so I booked this retreat just like that. And I went. So I went to Ecuador. So I went for a 7-day retreat, 3 different ceremonies. 1 ceremony, day off, integration, talking with the family. 2nd ceremony, day off. 3rd ceremony, day off, and then you leave. What I really liked about this place was that they do it extremely traditional, because once again, this is a drug. You can find people in America that are going to give you this drug and you're going to sit there and you're going to have a trip. I don't know if you're going to get the same benefits of it. The whole point of doing this, especially out in these countries like Ecuador or Peru or the Amazon jungle, is you're there with the legitimate people that this is part of their culture. This is what they believe you need to experience and go through so you can grow up as a better person. They truly believe this plant is a medicine that everyone should experience. And that's what I liked about the retreat that I went to in Ecuador, because they try to keep their costs so low so that it's accessible to a lot of people. And we even did like volunteer work when we were there, like karmic yoga, to kind of pay off some of or offset some of the costs, because it was very inexpensive. So I liked the whole vibe. They kept the medicine very traditional. They give you the whole diet. Everything was like vegan, vegetarian, no meat. So that was very appealing to me. All right, so we get there. It's a group of us, some people from the UK, some people from Australia, a couple from Europe, but a lot of Americans. We actually had a really good group, and you know, those people, you'll stick with them for life, because you're meeting all these people that are strangers, and then the next day you're like in a ceremony where you're like learning their deepest, darkest secrets that maybe they haven't even shared with some of their friends. So it's really like a special connection, and we've definitely kept in touch. But this is the protocol if you're curious. So they do it, like I said, very traditionally, which I think is absolutely necessary for you to get the benefits of this. You're in a maloca, they have the music, they have the actual trained shamans. The shamans bring their people that help them. They have instruments, playing music. They do prayers around the fire. They start with an intention. They explain it to you. So it's not just like, here, take this drug and like, let's go. It's very ceremonial. It's very intentional. And even beforehand, we're getting a lot of educational insights about the medicine, what to expect, what it should do. So it felt just very therapeutic. Like it felt like we were all there as one energy to up-level ourselves and to quantum leap ourselves into the next best version of ourselves. Because all we're here to do on life is like get rid of this freaking garbage that we're clinging on to, so we can all shine as our authentic individuals. And the quicker you can learn that that needs to happen, the happier you're going to be in life. The past is done. All we have is now. The power of now. Read that book. So the first ceremony we did was an ayahuasca ceremony. So a lot of you are probably watching this because you're curious about ayahuasca. Do people barf? Does that really happen? Yes, absolutely. So you start, we do the prayers, they have the music going, And then they actually started us with rapé, which is like a smoke that's blown into your nostrils. Very painful, but I would say do it because it clears your sinuses and it's supposed to open your third eye. And then we take the shots. We take the shots of the Aya, and then everyone's pretty much just in their zone. Some people have eye covers on, bundled up in blankets. So everyone has their own little space with like a bucket. And that's just like it. You're purging, you're going through your journey. You're not supposed to worry about other people. They even ask like couples to sit apart. Like this is about you and God. And I loved my ayahuasca experience, but I think I had a very special one because I didn't purge vomit per se. There was a lot of purging going on. So there was a lot of people, I think, with some energy that needed to come out. I think if you never have like meditated or you're not very self-aware or switched on or even believe in spirituality, like there was a group of people there that were atheists and they were like, this is not going to make us believe in anything. And they still left atheists, but they liked the experience. So, you know, to each his own. But I think if you're not on some sort of path or have some level of like higher self or actualization, it is gonna smack you in the face and you're gonna purge a lot. I mean, there were some people purging. I was like, wow, like what are they heaving up, dude? I didn't purge, luckily, but I did purge through the other side, number 2. So there's different types of purging. So I took the first medicine, I cried a little bit, so that was a purge for me, but then it was super good. For me, ayahuasca was essentially the first cup. It was like having a conversation with my higher self. I felt like I was having a like manifestation journey, but I also went in very intentionally. Like I had journaled many days before about what I wanted to experience, what I wanted to ask the plant. But ultimately, I mean, you also have to be open because they say that the medicine is just going to show you what you need to show. But I would disagree with that because I went in very intentionally and I got a lot of insight about what I wanted. So I really wanted to know things about my career path, moving forward, steps to take. You know, I'm a very creative person. I used to be an actor and a singer, and then I started traveling and somehow fell into this flight attendant industry. So I have a lot of baggage and questions about that and returning to that. And I'm not going to get into all my personal stuff here, but I wanted to just kind of get a glimpse of my future, get a glimpse of what I was capable of. I wanted to speak to my higher self, know if I was on the right path, if I was totally off. And for me, I got all of that. Like I just felt like I was dialoguing and I felt like I was getting these visuals of almost like future versions or alternate reality versions of my life and what I was capable of accomplishing. But the message to me was, it's like, you got to stop fear. You got to like let go of these inhibitions, these limiting beliefs. Like you have to go, you have to play big. You can't just keep living small. This is not going to just happen like this. Like you need to leave this ceremony and get that stuff done. And I do think a lot of my life I have been living in fear subconsciously, right? Because let's say, just for example, that I'm interested in going back to acting. I already did that industry. If you knew my last name, Robert Anthony's not my real last name, you'd see my credits on IMDb. I did that whole industry. You know, it's really, really hard. And I think I left kind of cold turkey. I pretty much at 25 was just like, okay, I need to take a vacation. I told my agent I'm going to Europe. I'm booking a one-way ticket. And I basically started backpacking for essentially 2 years on and off. So I kind of just like left the industry, which is very strange to do for someone that like grew up, like I literally grew up performing, grew up singing, grew up acting. I wanted to do all of these things. Then to just kind of cold turkey leave, it's like maybe somewhere on a subconscious level, I wasn't getting where I wanted and I just got fed up and I wasn't strong enough to continue pushing through. But also I wanted to experience life. So who knows? I don't know. You know, these are all speculations, but essentially the message that I got was you need to follow like what lights you up. And being a performer doesn't mean just being on stage or being an actor. You know, that can be interpreted many different ways. This is a performance. You know, I love my job. I love being able to travel, but I do need a little bit of a creative outlet. So I'm going to see, maybe this vlogging will take me somewhere. You know, this still gets me on camera. This still gets me interacting with people and able to share. I've always been a storyteller. So, you know, this checks the boxes in many ways, but I felt like I had to stop like playing small. And, you know, just those thoughts, pretty much those thoughts that are like, oh yeah, but that's already been done, or someone's already doing that, or who's going to want to watch you, or don't waste your time. Like, you know, you have a good job, don't jeopardize it. Don't waste your time trying to do something else. You're like, it's not going to make you money. All of those thoughts, it's like, you got to just, that's your ego talking. And what I got from my spirit was you need to follow what lights you up. If you want to go back to acting, if you want to write a book, which I've been working on, all of these things, just do it full on. Like, turn fear into exhilaration. Same frequency, just different ways of looking at it. So that's what I got from my ayahuasca experience. And then I took the second cup, and that one really hit my gut hard, which didn't surprise me because I'm a Cancer zodiac. They do say Cancers have a lot going on with their gut, a lot of their stored traumas in the gut, health problems can come from their gut. So that one, I literally felt like it was working through my digestive tract and just pulling out like disease. And I definitely purged from that. It was not pretty, a couple times. But they do say that ayahuasca also like can find like initial stages of disease in your body and pull them out. So I kind of felt like that was a really good purge, but that one was super uncomfortable. I was like just pretty much like clutching my stomach the whole time, like rocking back and forth as like everyone's like vomiting, and then I'd be like, all right, I need to go to the bathroom. So that was my first ayahuasca experience. And then essentially the next day we have off, you do an integration, everybody comes to the family circle, we share, it's really nice, we, you know, kind of debrief, and then we have the second ceremony. So our second ceremony was San Pedro. Now this is a little stronger. So what they say is that ayahuasca is like the feminine, motherly, grandmotherly energy, and San Pedro is like the hard father. Like ayahuasca will show you what you need to heal, and San Pedro shows you how to heal it. I didn't necessarily need to get that. I had two very different experiences. So this is where I will say that no matter what my intentions were, San Pedro smacked me in the face and gave me something else. But I think ultimately that's just because I had some things I didn't deal with. So because it was like the fatherly medicine, they started with a lot of prayers about fathers and just talking about fathers. And I lost my father at a young age. I was the one that found my dad. He passed away in his sleep. And I was in high school. We had a very contentious relationship. My parents were divorced, so we were going between the two homes. And we were just at that age where him and I were fighting all the time. He was also very strict. I come from like a super strict Sicilian father, you know, like he'd bring the belt out to like scare us as children, you know, like he's gonna smack us, like this type of guy. You know, very short temper, always yelling at my mom. Like when they got divorced, I was so happy because it was just a miserable experience to be in. But I know that everything that my dad did was out of love because that was the only way that he knew how to show love. But it was like tough love, you know? So I found him. And that's something I never really shared with a lot of people. Even some of my closest friends didn't know that because I feel like when you go through something traumatic, I think to disassociate, it feels like it's your life, but like for me, it always felt like this movie playing as part of my life, like that experience of when I found him. And for the first time, this medicine made me really like re-experience it head on. So it was hard because not only have I not talked about it with people, I never really share with them because it also puts other people in an awkward position. And I'm such an empath that I don't like to do that. I don't want to make someone else feel awkward. But it was like this medicine was like, it's time for you to face this head on and to learn your trauma and to heal from it. And I didn't really realize that I had a lot of anger, but this medicine showed me that I had a lot of anger over that situation, you know, over finding my father. So, you know, basically they're starting with the prayers and I just like lose it. And this is before the medicine even hits me. So clearly I've got some baggage there to clean up. And I just start crying and I'm like running through this scene, you know, and it felt more real. And I just had to really accept that I was the one, you know, that I found my father, and I had to relive that scene like for one time as it was actually my life so I could heal from it. Because what I always protected about that scene was like the details, and I always just clung to the fact that I was so happy I didn't bring my brother with me, because my dad and I had like gotten in this fight actually the night before he died. And I wasn't sure the next day if he had picked up my brother from school or if I was supposed to, but because we gotten in that fight, I didn't want to text him, so I just left my brother. Something told me, like, just leave your brother at school, don't pick him up. And I'm so glad, because my brother was super young, and that would have been a really, really horrible thing for him to experience. You know, I was older, and, you know, I could handle it to the best of my abilities. So that was always kind of the narrative in my mind, but it never switched to, like, well, how do I feel about that? How do I think that impacted me as a young boy walking into the apartment, feeling like the energy is off, knowing something's wrong, and then having to look in my father's room and find him laying in the bed? You know, it's hard. It's hard to really process these things, because you're like, you want to just disassociate and be like, oh, it's okay, it happened, it's in the past. But you have to be like, no, that was hard, and maybe it screwed me up a little bit, but now I feel like I healed from it, and I can share this story with more friends and more strangers without feeling guilty for making them maybe feel uncomfortable. But this is just my truth. This is just what happened. You know, unfortunately, we go through things in life. I was young, my father passed away, it was unexpected. There are things I wish I could change about our relationship, but, you know, it is what it is. And ultimately, I had to be the one to find him. And for whatever reason, I do believe that I signed up, you know, for that journey or for that trauma in order to learn something or to better myself or to teach somebody else something. I think ultimately what I learned from, like, this ayahuasca experience is that if you can start to reframe everything about how you can take accountability, even if it seems like by all external factors, it happened to you. You can't go through life with that attitude. I mean, you can, and you're gonna find a lot of resistance. If you can say, why did this happen to me? Why did I draw this energy to me, and try to find a lesson? I think you're just gonna have an easier time in life. If you're not ready to do that, you're not ready. Everyone's on a different path. You know, I believe in reincarnation. I believe we all come here multiple times, and we're probably trying to relearn the same things. So for me, I think you're in a spirit world somewhere up there, and you're like, I'm going to go through this. This is the trauma I'm going to sign up for. All right, here we go. Bring me to earth, you know? And maybe that's all BS, but you know what? It helps me live my time here on earth in a more positive mindset versus, why did this happen to me? Why did I have to find my dad dead? Why did my dad die? You know, that's just victim mentality. And yes, we are victims of circumstances, but you can't continue to perpetuate that your whole entire life, or you're never going to get to the next level. You can either take ownership of your life and decide that you're going to be the one in control. Even if something bad happened to you, you can say, this happened to me, I feel sad, I have a feeling of sadness, but I'm going to work my darndest to change how I feel. Or you can sit there in mum and glum and gloom in your bed for a year and be depressed and feel like you can't get out of it because the world is so unfair and life sucks. I mean, there's just really two paths. You can be a victim, or you can take ownership. So for those of you watching that have gone through a hard time, I'm not discounting, you know, what you've gone through, but ultimately we need tough experiences to mold us and to shape us and to help us grow to the next level. Life is just going to be like a curve, a graph going up. It's not just going to be like a linear shot, you know, that wouldn't be fun. You're going to have a high, you're going to have a low, then your next high will be higher. That's just what life is going to be. And for me, I think that San Pedro ceremony, not only did it help me realize that I kind of gave some of my power away in that situation, or by not speaking up and being truthful about my feelings, or always protecting my emotions in order to protect how other people feel. That's also a very Cancer empathic thing to do, that I need to step into my power and own my past, own my trauma, and share it. And, you know, I think people that are vulnerable, it's hard to do these things, right? I don't think everyone's on YouTube talking about their personal life or making a podcast about their personal life. Those of us that are, you know, we're like starseeds. We're people that, you know, we're storytellers. I'm not doing this because I love talking about myself. This is because part of our energetic design is to connect, to share, to be a storyteller, to love, to help other people. And I've really done that my whole life. So this was kind of a full circle moment for me, because even as a performer, you know, it's about entertaining other people, making them laugh. In school, I wrote tons and tons of books. I had a journalism column called Ask Robert, so I always wanted to be like helping people. So it's very much in line with what I'm doing now. You know, so I think while it's kind of weird to sit here and talk to a camera about my personal life, and who knows who's going to watch it and judge it and say whatever, ultimately it's like, you know what, I'm just confident enough to be a vulnerable person and put this out there in hopes that it can help other people. You know, whether that's with their own trauma or just wanting to go through ayahuasca, etc. Okay, so that was the second ceremony. Third ceremony, it's a mix of the two. Now, this one was really intense because we did it in a sweat lodge. So what I liked about this was it was supposed to be like, we've gone through like the breaking down and the trauma, and now like we're going through the most grueling physical thing we can. Like, they are putting these hot stones into this place. You're basically naked. It is so freaking hot. We're doing chants, we're doing prayers, we're taking both medicines, so it's super intense. No water, no food until like the very end. So it was very much like a deprivation. And this is where I learned in this ceremony that control is a huge theme in my life that I'm working to release. And I come from, you know, a high-powered executive mother, Capricorn energy. I also have Capricorn in my chart, a lot of cardinal energy, a lot of control, a lot of power, a lot of success, a lot of wanting to make everything perfect. And control is definitely something that I have to release. And what I learned is I just have to be like, I can try my best, and whatever's meant to happen, it's going to happen. I mean, that's not an excuse to not take action. You need to take action and take aligned action, but not every minute detail can you control. And what I found in this ceremony was I actually was not able to control my body. So for taking both of these medicines, I was starting to get these like tremors, like I was shaking. So I was just sitting there rocking, and this happened to actually someone else too, another guy in our group. We couldn't stop. He had more like tics, but for me, I couldn't stop moving. Like literally my body was just moving like this. I was like rocking the whole time, and I would try to hold myself and I would still shake. So there was times when I was a little worried. I was like, am I gonna come out of this and have some sort of like problem? Like I'm just gonna be like always like shaking, like, you know, like a restless leg syndrome or something. I'm sure there's something like that. I was like, oh my God, what did I do to myself? Like going through all of the fear, you know? And then I was like, okay, stop the fear, you know, this is your lesson of control. And what I realized the plant was showing me was that I might not have control of my physical body, but I can control my mind. So instead of being rocking and going down this deep, scary abyss of what's happening to me and am I gonna be screwed up for life, I can control my mindset. I can control the thoughts in my head. So anytime some fear would creep up, I'd be like, nope, this is just gonna pass. This is just the effects of the medicine right now. Let's focus on what this means. Okay, this is about control. Okay, so where in my life have I had too much control or I should have learned to release control, and maybe this situation would have been better. So I was able to start going through all of this, and it was a really scary but beautiful lesson on control for me. And even after the medicine kind of wore off, I was still shaking, but eventually after a couple hours it went down. So that was probably the most intense one for me, especially also because I don't like to be uncomfortable. And my body gets super hot. If you guys know me, you'll see I travel around with like a gallon of water. I drink so much water. I went to an Ayurvedic doctor once, and she said that my strength is like the fire element, so that means my body's too hot or something. I don't know. They like look at your tongue and they tell you this. So to be in a sweat lodge, like I can go to a sauna and I love a good sweat, but I can be in there for like maybe 10 minutes before I step out and I do a cold shower and then I get back in. This is like we were in there for like hours with like minimal breaks in between. So this was like pushing my body and my mental capabilities to the max. And I think, you know, the beautiful thing was we were all in it together. We were all like miserable, but we're like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna succeed. Everyone's going through their own stuff in their mind. We're singing the prayers. And then another thing that happened in that ceremony was they were like, does anyone want to sing? And something just told me, like, sing. Now, keep in mind, I have not sung professionally since I was 25. The last time I sang, I was in a show in Hollywood about a boy band. It was called Altar Boys. So, you know, we're singing and dancing for like 90 minutes. That show, particularly because of this one scene that my character did where he was screaming and yelling a lot and I wasn't trained properly to stage scream, really wreaked havoc on my vocal cords. And I actually got prenatal. Like, I went to a doctor, I was starting to lose my voice, they had to put the swing in for me, and he said, if you keep pushing your vocal cords this way, you're gonna develop a node. It's like a cyst. This is like what happened to Judy Garland. So she couldn't sing anymore, and this happens to a lot of singers. A lot of singers end up getting surgery, but it can be very dangerous. It can change your voice, or it can make it so you can't sing again. So I was like, I'm not gonna ruin my voice, you know, for this show. So I dropped out. So my understudy finished the run for me, and that was essentially the last time I ever sang, which was very weird for someone who had literally sung their whole life. Like, I wanted to be like Justin Timberlake. Like, that was my goal, to be a pop star. To just never sing again. And I think it was just at that time where I was fed up with the industry. My acting wasn't exactly where I wanted it to be. I had this interest to travel. It was like this culmination of events where I just kind of like left and never looked back. So I'm telling you, like, I haven't even karaoke sung. Like, if I was to go back to singing, I need some major warm-ups right now. But something just said sing. So they were like, does anyone want to sing a song, you know, from their culture or something, you know, as we're trying to get through this heat and whatnot. And I was like, I'll sing. And I sung this song that I had recorded many, many years ago, very beautiful song. They were like, do you want music? I was like, no. And it just felt so freeing to follow that intuition, because usually my ego would have talked me out like, no, Robert, you haven't sung in years. Your voice is going to be shaky. You're not warmed up. You don't even remember the lyrics. You're going to sound like an idiot in front of all these people. Like, it's not like I was like practicing and then all of a sudden going to sing this beautiful song. This was like real and raw. And it felt so great. Like, I was reclaiming my power, and that this experience was really showing me all of these aspects of my life that I had kind of pushed under the carpet that really I needed to bring out in some ways. Now, not that I need to go and try to get a record deal now in my 30s, like, no, like, that doesn't interest me. But, you know, these things that you were interested in as a child or when you were very young, I think they stay with you. These are things that your spirit wanted to do. So, you know, whether that means joining a local choir just for a creative outlet, or like starting to sing again, you know, with a channel on YouTube of like just funny cover songs, like some sort of creative outlet. You know, it was clear to me that like I have a voice that I need to use it, and my spirit wants me to sing. And after the ceremony, a lot of people came up and they were like, wow, that was really beautiful, Robert. Like, you need to sing more. Like, that was my favorite part of the ceremony. Thank you for sharing that song. And I was like, oh my God, well, thank you for listening. Like, I really didn't think I was going to even sound good, or, you know, that it would even resonate with people. But everyone was like, no, you need to like look into that. So it was really nice, like, validation. So what was beautiful about the Sweat Lodge was afterwards, it was like a rebirth, because everyone took their turn. They crawled out of the Sweat Lodge, you know, on their hands and knees, and it was like we were being truly born again. So it's like, after we've gone through the first ceremony, after we've gone through the second ceremony, now we've integrated both of the aspects of those ceremonies into this third one. We've pushed our body and our minds to the absolute limit, and now we're coming out of this Sweat Lodge, reborn into the world as our best selves. So that's what's really beautiful about the third one. The things I learned from ayahuasca were, it's gonna purge what it needs to purge, and it's gonna show you some things that you need to heal that you might not even think you needed to heal. I do believe if you go in intentionally, you will be able to get some answers. Like my first ayahuasca ceremony, I journaled what I wanted, and I really got that. I got a lot of, guidance and messages and downloads from what I believe to be my higher self. So I think you can go in with it. I think you can go in with intention, but you also need to be open. I learned that you need to look at your life and see where you maybe gave away your power and take that power back. And that can be applied to anything. You know, we had so many beautiful stories. That was the great thing about the second ceremony, is that medicine really opened up our empathy and our heart space for others. That second ceremony, the one where I really had to go through the trauma of my father, that lasted us 18 hours. We started at 9 a.m. and it went until 4 a.m. the next day. So it kept us up, but we were all in it. And we were in everyone's stories. Basically, everyone had their turn around the fire with the shaman, and they were kind of talking about their experiences. And the beautiful thing that I really learned from that was, everyone has baggage and everyone has trauma and everyone is walking around with something they need to heal. And if we can just try to be the most compassionate people, it's not always easy, and we're all not perfect. We're all here to live an imperfect experience. So we're bound to screw up because those screw ups are what make us better people, and you can't expect anyone to be perfect. I used to have a crazy temper. Now I've learned to reel it in. But that, you just don't know what people are going through. And that's one thing that I really carry through with me in my job in aviation, is you don't know what people are going through. So no matter what, all you can do is welcome them with a smile, try to be nice. If they're giving you some attitude, don't take it personally. That's one of the 4 commandments. Don't take anything personally, and just try to give them love or space or compassion, because you never know what they could be walking on that plane to do. Someone might come on grouchy in a bad mood and be mean to you, but maybe their wife or son is in the cargo, their body, so it's you never know. So you never know. I don't know what I don't know, but what I do know is I absolutely loved my experience. I would totally recommend ayahuasca to anyone that is looking to further develop their spirituality or has some trauma that they want to heal from, that they feel they aren't ready to conquer themselves. I would say you have to go in with no fear. If you go in with fear, you might plant something in your brain. Look, nothing's going to happen to you. There's not going to be some demon that jumps out of the fire and brings you to the underworld, right? This is all just a mental experience. And if it's bringing something up that you're scared to see, maybe you need to see it so you can heal and move on, right? So nobody should be afraid of something that they've already gone through in their life, right? And that's what I found very surprising about what happened with my father. I wasn't afraid. It's not like I've blacked out this image of my mind, I just never really shared it, and I never really went through the actual experience again. I just kind of left it yeah, that happened in my life like a movie. But it was no, if you really want to release this anger that you have stored over finding your father, you got to relive this one more time, and then you're going to be able to be free from it. So I think everyone that is curious about this sort of thing should absolutely try. You want to make sure you're going to a place where the medicine is not mixed with things. The medicine that they used was very pure, that it's very intentional. I think you need the ceremonial aspect of it. I don't think you should just find a place in America that is doing this. I think part of it is being in these real settings with real shaman and being in cultures where this is really part of their culture, because I think that makes a huge difference. Where they're blessing the medicine and all of that stuff. Summary. In conclusion, my ayahuasca experience was everything that I wanted. Would I do it again? Yes. I think there's always going to be something to learn. I would be curious to maybe do it in Peru, where it's originated from. I love doing it in Ecuador, but it would be cool just to see, how a different culture does it. And I think each time, you're going to get a different version of the medicine, something else. Something maybe stronger, or it's going to show you something else, because I think this is all essentially a fast track. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. For people that are really on the spiritual path, some of them might not even feel they need ayahuasca. And I think that's totally true. I do believe that you can get to these same levels or insights through breath work or through meditation, but kind of like anything in spirituality, you need to find what works for you, right? So for me, it's very hard to connect with my higher self in meditation, and taking the ayahuasca was like a direct channel to that. I got the insights, I got the downloads, I was able to manifest, I was able to see versions of my future, all things that are very hard for me to do. So I do think ayahuasca is kind of like a fast track. Especially if you've never done any sort of work, I think you're gonna come and it's gonna smack you in the face, but it might really help kickstart you into a healing journey, so it's going to be different for everyone. I have a coach, a friend of mine, who is very deep in this path. She's helping coach tons and tons of people, and she's like, I want to do it, but I don't know if I really need to. Like, it'll happen if it happens. And I'm like, yeah, you might not need to. Like, you might have gotten all of these insights and healings, from your own work, because you're already really deep into it and you can connect and meditate. All it is really about just being able to get to that place and open up to the other realm that we all have access to. And ultimately, I think, some people are watching this and they're gonna be like, this is super woo-woo, but you guys, humans are just like, we've been around a long time, but not really. Like, we have developed a 5 sensory world, but this isn't it. There is a 6th sensory world. There is more going on than we can see. We've already proven energy is real. We've proven the quantum field exists, right? So it only makes sense that this isn't it, and that we're just starting now to be able to unlock certain abilities with our mind through meditation. Who knows? We might be able to teleport in hundreds of thousands of years. Ultimately, all I know is that this is not just like the end, We're here for a reason, we're learning these skills for a reason, and humans continue to evolve, right? We've evolved our health, they've even shown like what our feet will look like, because we know that now the shoes that we were wearing as kids like made our feet a certain way, right? Plant medicine is becoming huge. That expands your mind. It's proven. Some theories even suggest the reasons our brain developed from monkeys the way they did into humans is because they were eating the mushrooms and it expanded the mind. So, all I can say about life is you don't know what you don't know, and nothing is permanent. And all we can do right now is use the tools and be open to what might happen. At least that mindset has changed my life. So with that, I will say that, my summary of ayahuasca is that it can shift and reprioritize some things in your life. It can wash away any sort of expectations of your life or what you're meant to be doing. And it will show you like what you really need to heal so you can become the best version of yourself and live more authentically. I think ayahuasca really in general is just about taking back your power. I think a lot of people go to ayahuasca because they feel they've lost their power, or they've lost themselves, or they've lost themselves to a situation along the way. And ayahuasca is going to show you how to take that back. But I can't forget to say in the conclusion that the most important part of ayahuasca is the integration afterwards. So you got to do a lot of reading on that. This video is running on like an hour. I don't know if I'm going to do it in 2 parts, but you got to do your own research. Ayahuasca is going to show you what to heal, maybe how to heal. You'll have a little healing there, but the whole point of it is you need to be able to come back and integrate those lessons into real life. Once you're going to have like life before Aya and life after Aya. And in order to do that, so you don't just come back and be the same person, but then you're really hard on yourself because you have more self-awareness, you're going to have to take the lessons and to integrate them. What does this mean? How do I apply this to my normal life? I had to take all the alcohol out of my house because your ego is strong, especially after a flight. I'm tired. All I'm thinking about is like, I just want 1 glass of red wine. I want to watch a movie and chill. Well, is that what's really best for me, or is that just what my ego wants to do? Because what's best for me is probably to come off a flight, not drink wine that's going to interrupt my sleep, do some journaling about how I feel, maybe do some yoga, get myself grounded back into my body after all of that hectic energy from other people, and then go to bed. You know what I mean? These are the choices then that I have to start to make if I want to take what I learned from ayahuasca. Because if I keep doing the same thing that I did before ayahuasca, I'm not going to get those grand visions of my life to manifest into reality. Because to do that, it's going to take steps and work and integration of what I've been shown and what I know is best for me. So ultimately, ayahuasca has helped me, I think, turn off my limiting beliefs. I'm like ready to go big. I'm ready to do things without fear of judgment, without fear of rejection. And I'm not afraid to go against the status quo right now, you know? I believe in my path, and I'm gonna make some things happen according to my path, and we'll see. You'll look back on this video and you'll be like, wow, either he was super successful or it didn't work, I don't know. But I think I'm gonna be able to integrate these things, and I have a really good feeling about this year. I'm filming this right before 2023. Who knows when I'll edit it, but I have a really good feeling that I've done a lot of work in 2022. I've done a lot of reflection and growth and mindset training, and now I've done all the learnings, kind of, you know, and we can always learn. We're always continuing to learn, but now it's time to ground these into reality so I can really start making practical applications for my life. And that's what I want to do with this channel. I just want to share with you guys what I've gone through, what I've learned, so it can help you. And if you want to watch me along the way, that's great, because hopefully this will be a really cool journey that I can look back on and be like, wow, I left Emirates, lost that life, and I came back and I did something like really, really incredible. So thanks for taking the time to watch. I hope it helps you guys. If you're really curious about any sort of spirituality stuff, follow me here, because that's what I'm definitely going to get into on this channel. I'm no guru, but I'm just here to share. And if you're a flight attendant, I think it's still beneficial to follow me, because I am in the industry. I know the struggles that we go through, and I'm trying to, you know, work out a methodology and figure out the best ways to handle this industry, which is, you know, super unhealthy, super underpaid, and super stressful. And also, I think it's the flight attendant revolution is coming. So I think we're in the generation. So that's my long speech for today. I wish you guys the best day. Spread light and love. Until next time, peace out.